You are listening to the Happy, Healthy, Hot Mom Summit, where you will discover how to be fit, sexy, and energized, even if you are a busy mom. With your host, top female fat loss and hormone specialist, Dr. Michelle Sands.
Hi, and welcome back to the Happy, Healthy, Hot Mom Summit. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Sands, and today we have Louise Gittleman. Louise is an amazing expert in the field of nutrition, health, everything wellness. She is one of the world's top experts in functional and integrative medicine. She holds a Master's of Science in Nutrition Education from Columbia University and is certified. She's a certified nutrition specialist and also has a PhD in holistic nutrition. She has served as a chief nutritionist for the pediatric clinic at Bellevue Hospital and is the former director of nutrition of the Pritkin Longevity Center in Santa Monica. She's won numerous awards and she's been featured on over 50 top publications and TV shows. She's quite the honor to have her here today. She's internationally recognized as a pioneer in dietary, environmental, and women's health issues. She's an award-winning New York Times bestselling author. She has over 30 books on health, nutrition, everything detox, diet, women's health, just all around the board. And her latest book is right now is out. It's Eat Fat, Lose Weight. It's actually a revised edition of a previous book that I had been it was my Bible in the beginning of my career. It totally changed the way that I looked at nutrition and health, not only for myself, but also for my clients and for my family now. So this book is amazing. It talks about smart fats and how they reset your metabolism, how they control hunger, your sex hormones, and help you lose weight and look beautiful. So this is a perfect fit for our summit today. Louise she's just a groundbreaker. She's been talking about this topic of fats and dietary fat before it was fashionable. I mean, that is what actually turned me on to her back in the 90s when I was a personal trainer and nutritionist. I totally changed the way I did things based on her teachings. And Louise, it's just such an honor to have you here today. Thank you so much for being here.
And it's so nice to be with you, Michelle. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God. Like I said, I've been following you for so long, and you actually did change the way that not only I ate, but I had my clients eat as well. So it's just an amazing, I don't know how you got your research, like how you actually started this. I'd like to hear like how you went against everything everybody was thinking and doing in the whole field that we're in health and nutrition, how you decided to go against the grain and figure this all out.
Well, it's a good question. And many years ago, it was in the early 1980s, Michelle, when I was the director of nutrition at the Pritkin Longevity Center, which was the real model for the low-fat, high-complex carbohydrate diet that took over the world in the 80s and the early part of the 90s. So there as the nutritional director, I was the first nutritional director at the Pritkin Center. I saw people from all walks of life that had problems with their heart, that were diabetic, had high blood pressure, and wanted to come to the center to lose weight and to get their bodies back. So I was there with them for a good 3 weeks, learned about their dietary habits, their exercise habits, their lifestyle habits, and began seeing slowly but surely that if we took away all fats for a long period of time, people had problems with their skin, their nail, their hair, their immune system, as well as their weight. So whereby a diet initially that was fat-free was pretty much a cleansing diet, long-term, longer than 6 weeks, we started to see detrimental results. And I'll never forget the day a woman walked into my office, and she was the director of the outreach program at that point. And she said to me, "I know you're new to this, Louise, but I have to tell you something. We may be saving people from heart disease, but too many of our participants have come down with cancer. Can you tell me why that's the case?" And I'll never forget that. And the real sad part of it, Michelle, was that she died about 10 years later of bone cancer. So I made it my mission to figure out why a fat-free diet which was so much in vogue at that time, could turn around and be so detrimental to people in the long run. And I learned that it was fats, the right kind of fats, not every kind of fat, but the right kind of fats, the essential fats, the smart fats, that were the savior of your diet, of your health, of your hormones, of your beauty, of your soul. From your cells to your soul is what I like to call those smart fats. They really feed and nourish you on every level of your body, but they can also be detrimental if they're homogenized, if they're altered, if they're chemicalized, and if they're trans fats. So not every fat is created equal, but when they're the right fats, they are the most important nutrient in our diets.
Yeah, it's interesting how you're saying that short term it seemed to be effective to have the low fat, high carb, because when not on the scale of deadly diseases, but when I was a personal trainer and nutritionist, I had many clients and I would put them on the low fat, high carb diet and they would get some results in the beginning. But the problem was after time went on, the results would start going away and start reversing. And I was noticing this in myself. In my clients, we were doing the same thing. We were doing all of our low fat, but after a while, we weren't feeling so good. We were having weight gain issues, thyroid problems, just fatigue. And, that's when I kind of started searching and I found you, which is, so I'd like to have you talk a little bit about why we need to eat fat and give up the carbs at the same time.
Well, here's what you have to remember. Fat, at least the right kind of fat, what I'd like to call the smart fats, are absolutely essential for the system. They're the fats that your body can't make on its own. They're absolutely necessary for the regulation, I would say, of every function in your human body. They have to be included, as I mentioned, in the diet because they're not manufactured by your system. And it's the right kind of fat, or the smart fat, that we all need, which has not been nutritionally altered, with food processing or faulty cooking practices, which can change a good fat into a dumb fat, so to speak. So fats are where it's at when it comes to weight loss, because it satisfies you, it stabilizes blood sugar. Think of sugar and processed carbohydrates and too many grains as poison for the system. They're the ingredients that really can precipitate the production of insulin, which is a fat-promoting hormone, as well as cortisol in many cases. So you want the right kind of fats, which will allow your body to make the eicosanoids, or a tissue-like hormone that controls everything in the human body, including your predisposition to heart disease, to cancer, to diabetes, to arthritis, to the skin, the nails, the candida albicans, as well as allergies. The right kind of fats will really benefit all of these areas and are exceedingly important for moms specifically because they're the hormone precursors. Without the right kind of fat, you cannot make cholesterol. You cannot make cholesterol, which then can transform itself into the steroid hormones, which we all need, whether it's progesterone or estrogen or testosterone or DHEA or cortisol. So fat is where it's at as long as it's the right kind of fat, and you can metabolize it and digest it, which is what I talk about in Eat Fat, Lose Weight. So you need the right kind of fat for weight loss as well as for detox, and you need the right kind of fat to be metabolized and digested properly with smart fat nutrients, with smart fat nutrients, as well as the right kind of emulsifiers like a daily dose of non-GMO lecithin in your daily smoothie to act as a detergent so that the fat can be emulsified and thinned properly so that you can digest it, particularly if you do not have a gallbladder.
Oh, yes, definitely. So I know you're talking about fat and weight loss, and I think that there's probably some moms listening that are perplexed by that and just have the idea that eating fat is going to end up on their hips and thighs and make them fat, because it's the same word. And like I tell my clients now, I didn't used to know this, but that fat, dietary fat, and adipose tissue are two different things. So don't think of it as eating fat going directly to your hips. But how do you explain to women who have that fear to get around that?
Because they have to remember one thing. Fat makes you thin, sugar makes you fat. And that's all you have to keep remembering. That should be your mantra for 2016 and beyond, Michelle. Everybody should think of that. Fat makes you thin, sugar makes you fat. And the other thing that you have to understand is that because all of these have hormonal effects, what you want to do is you want to be able to prevent the excessive amount of insulin in your body, because that is a fat-promoting hormone. And the way that you do that is with fat. It cuts down on insulin production. It's the most important nutrient in terms of the hormones, in terms of stress, in terms of appetite, as well as in terms of sex hormones. So it's a precursor for all of the hormonal interactions in your body. We need the right kind of fat in the form of a little bit of butter, a little bit of flaxseed oil. As a matter of fact, for all the hot moms out there, 2 tablespoons of high lignin flaxseed oil will actually modify their estrogens, as well as keep that in balance with progesterone. Will be very important for PMS, very good for the hubby in terms of protecting the prostate, and good for the kids in terms of ADD and ADHD. Whether that's in the form of the high lignin flaxseed oil, 1 to 2 tablespoons a day, or 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground up flax in oatmeal, for example. So it's your best friend when it comes to weight loss, beauty, and health.
Awesome. So that's wonderful. So I like the way you brought the husband and the kids in it. So this is not just for women, this is for the whole family.
The whole family can benefit from this, and you sneak it in there. What you do is you just put it in the food and they won't even know it, particularly in smoothies or in oatmeal with the kids first thing in the morning. I'm also a big believer in these nut butters for the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Unless there's an issue, and here's what I'd like to suggest, unless there's an issue with peanuts and you know that your child is allergic, or there's somebody in the class that's allergic or whatever, I think a tablespoon or 2 of a non-hydrogenated organic peanut butter is very, very stabilizing for blood sugar. As a matter of fact, when I'm really working hard and I need a snack, it's usually a tablespoon of a non-hydrogenated crunchy peanut butter, which of course is organic, so we know it doesn't have the aflatoxins, the fungus. Very satisfying because it's very high in nutrients that feed the adrenals and your stress glands, and it's very good in these beneficial saturated or monounsaturated fats that I call my smart fats, and it's terrific with a little bit of apple or even a little bit of melon. It makes a wonderful combination.
Awesome. So you seem to be very specific when you're talking about the fats to have and how to get them. So you mentioned organic. So can you just give us a few of the detail when people are looking at, let's say, flaxseed oil, what they have to look for if they're looking at olive oil or coconut oil, these healthy fats? I just want to make sure that everyone understands, because I notice that you're being very specific when you say the types that you're recommending.
Yes, and there's ways that you cook them and there's ways that you use them, which of course we go into greater detail with in Eat Fat, Lose Weight. But what I'd like to say for your hot moms out there is that when they're quickly looking, we want organic, number 1, unprocessed, number 2, unrefined, and number 3. When it comes to olive oil, we really have to be careful, because there was a recent expose, it was on 20 Minutes. No, it was on 60 Minutes actually this past Sunday, which suggests that about 75 to 80% of the olive oil in our marketplaces these days is not real olive oil. It's actually cut with either canola oil or even cottonseed or sunflower oil, as the majority is in Italy these days. So you want to be very careful that it's 100% virgin olive oil, and only use that for drizzling in kind of medium heat. I use 2 particular brands. They're mentioned in the book, but one of them is Theros, Theros, which I know is 100% completely virgin olive oil. So that would be number 1. And then number 2, when it comes to some of the high lignin flaxseed oils, they're brand names that are mentioned. You want those that are fresh, freshly pressed. You want those that are in darker bottles so that they don't have any oxidation because of heat, air, and light particularly. And when it comes to things like your cooking oils, the best one, believe it or not, is avocado oil. It has the highest rate that we know of, the highest smoking point. So we want a little bit of avocado oil or even macadamia nut oil. But all of that you can bring into your diet very easily, very tastefully, little by little, step by step. And maybe the first step is just to use a little bit more butter, when you're having a baked potato or a sweet potato. There's nothing like butter, particularly the raw, organic, pasture-raised butter, because it will give you some extra vitamins and some K2, which is so good for your bones. And all those hot moms out there need as much K2 as possible.
Exactly. And actually the kids need it too. I was just, doing some research, and I've been actually giving the the organic butter to my son now, and he's 8 months old, So I think
Oh,
it's like
yes.
super important for the children as well. That all this stuff is just across the board because the moms need to stay healthy and the kids need to grow healthy. So I love the way this all it doesn't have to be some weird fancy food that you have to buy and eat that separate from everybody else. And it's things that are delicious. Like who doesn't want butter on the potato? Like for years we've been restricting this because we thought it was going to make us fat, and now we can have it and it's going to be satisfying and delicious. So it's just a wonderful thing.
And you have to just try it on for size. And I know there's a lot of fear of fat that's been ingrained in people, but you have to get over that. It's a new day. It's a new age. We're in 2016, and really they're new diet rules. So although this may fly in the face of everything that you've ever heard, what we've heard is dead wrong, or we wouldn't be so fat and unhealthy.
Exactly. Because our grandparents used to eat, butter and everything, and they were not heavy.
No, they were not heavy. I can remember my grandmother having schmaltz. It was chicken fat. I mean, the concept even in this time isn't very satisfying for me, but there's so many other healthy, delicious, tasty fats that are on the market that you need not go that route. But we're now even seeing a return to lard because it's such a stable cooking oil, much more stable than the polyunsaturated corn oil or soybean oil that we were using.
It's so true how everything kind of like they didn't know why they were doing it back then, but like now we want to go back to it because we tried to make everything convenient, I think, and that's the problem is everything.
Well, and there was a lot of politics that got involved, Michelle, and that's what's so unfortunate.
I know. So one more thing I want to ask you, I was previewing your book, and I was really interested in how you brought up what the bio aspect of what bile has to do with all of this.
That should be a song, shouldn't it? What does bile have to do with it? Well, it's because a lot of people that started eating an Eat Fat, Lose Weight program where they started having 1 to 4 helpings of fat at every meal, from the paleo to the primal to the ketogenic people out there, found that they were actually getting much more bloated. And that's because they weren't digesting all that good fat.
Yeah.
So it's very important to understand that your body in its innate wisdom has the ability to digest and break down fats through bile. And if you're not making enough because your gallbladder has been removed, then you have to get some nutrients in your system that will help break down the fats and also help with detox, because bile doesn't just break down fats, it's also the vehicle that removes toxins from the system. So we need that to be as supported and as thinned out and as decongested as possible. And that's where my old good friend, which we need to bring back into the forefront now, that's where my non-GMO lecithin comes into play, 1 or 2 tablespoons full of the granules, in your smoothie per day, or even some beets. I'm not a beet lover myself, but I know that some fresh beets that are grated into salad is really quite delicious. And there's some supplements too, particularly for those that do not have a gallbladder. You must be taking an ox bile supplement because you need to give back what your body is no longer producing appropriately.
Yeah, that's not something that people generally talk about. Like we talk about what to eat, but then we kind of like lose out on learning like how to get that nutrition into your body. So it's a really important part of the puzzle because you can eat the best stuff, but if you're not digesting and assimilating it, then it's not going to help you, right?
It's not going to help at all, particularly with fats, because they're one of the most difficult nutrients to really absorb properly. So that's how we do it. And if you don't have a gallbladder, again, it's essential that you get Eat Fat, Lose Weight, because you'll see what the protocol is. And you'll also see how important the fat-soluble vitamins are. You're going to be missing out on all the benefits of vitamin A and vitamin D and vitamin E and vitamin K. And we can't have that because those are very important fat-soluble nutrients that are pretty much key to the health of your immune system.
Awesome. So, well, this is just so much great information. I know the audience is going to want to learn some more about what you're talking about and what your research is. So can you tell us a little bit about the book, how it's set up, what's in it?
Yeah. The book is set up with a bit of an introduction from me. It talks a little bit about my background to a new generation of readers that may not know that I was the director of nutrition at the Pritikin Center in the early 80s, then went on to have my own practice and write some 30 some odd books with all of the issues that I saw people experiencing and what I was going through myself from perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. And so that introduction is the first part of the book. And then we talk about the big fat lies and all the politics and the misdirection and misinformation that we've been subject to for the past 30 to 40 years. And from there, we talk about the importance of bile, some of the other underlying causes of problems with weight, and that's where the thyroid comes into play, the lack of the right fats, of course, the lack of the right bile to digest the fats, as well as some of those other underlying causes, including food sensitivities, and the problem not just with your thyroid, but as well as with your adrenals. From there, we go on to see how the smart fats are the precursors for metabolism directly, how the smart fats are the precursors to stress hormones, how the smart fats are the precursors to your appetite and hunger hormones, and how the smart fats are the precursors to your sex hormones. So this is a book for everybody, no matter what program you're currently following. And then we've got the section that pulls it all together, kind of a roundup of everything that I talk about, with some very practical transition steps, as well as some practical diet tips, some new smart sweeteners, some ways in which you can add the smart fats to your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, your sides, your sauces, your stews, and your soups. And your sweets.
Wow, so that's awesome. So you get the education and then you get how to implement it. So that's what I think is important. Sometimes you read a book and you learn the educational part of it, but then you're left not knowing how to implement. So that's what I like about your book, that you actually take us all the way through and help us incorporate it into our lifestyle.
Well, I try, and then if there are any questions, people can just come on Facebook. They can ask me questions directly. We have communities out there. So I try to make myself as available as possible, but I think that this is a real dietary trend that needs to take hold with everybody at every age and stage of life, because the right fats not just feed the skin, the hair, the nails, and the hormones, but they feed the brain.
Yeah.
And you certainly want that with your growing child, for all of those hot moms out there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ann-Louise. It's just been so much information and so just eye-opening. I'm going to just remember, fat makes you skinny, sugar makes you fat. It's going to be my
yes,
Facebook
that's our mantra.
Today.
That's our mantra.
I'm going to tell that to all my clients. Maybe that'll be my email signature now.
I love it.
But thank you again so much for taking the time out. And definitely everybody go out and check out Eat Fat, Lose Weight. So it's available on Amazon and also in the bookstores, correct?
Well, I think it will be available in bookstores currently, or it will be eventually, I should say, but we're hoping for a real nice hardback book by February 15th, right after Valentine's Day, when we've eaten all of our chocolate and goodies and we can get back to eating fat, losing weight, and feeling great.
Sounds awesome. Thank you so much, Ann-Louise, for being here today. It's been a pleasure.
And the pleasure is mine. Thank you, Michelle. Good luck to you.
Thanks. Bye-bye. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you received a lot of value out of this interview. I know that I did. I want you to open up to the possibility of making this new year the greatest opportunity that you have had so far to improve your life. This is about breaking out of paradigms. It's about learning the art of living. It is about honoring who you are as a woman as you discover who you are as a mother. It is about taking care of your body, mind, and spirit so that you can take better care of your family and be a shining example, a role model for your children so that they can grow up to be healthy, happy, and successful. I promise to continue to bring you educational, empowering, and inspiring content to help you achieve the body that you dream about and the life that you are meant to live. Stay tuned for more value-packed interviews, and be sure to check out all the resources on my website, metabolicmama.com. Until next time, wishing you a happy, healthy, hot day. Take care, mamas.